It's 8 o'clock. Okay, ladies, we are on page 60 of It's All in Your Mind. Page 60, and it's amazing how everyone thinks differently. Every single person, especially Jews. 10 Jews, 20 opinions. And that's the famous story. It says when Ben Gurion went to visit Truman, Harry Truman. Harry Truman says, "Look at me, I'm a president of 200 million people." And Ben Gurion said, "I'm a prime minister of 2 million prime ministers." So everyone thinks differently, especially Jews. We have many different thoughts. So we think we have so many different thoughts going through our heads all the time. And unfortunately, they all seem to come during the tefillah, when we're praying. That's where the thoughts come in all the time. You see, you've got a person going to examine their thoughts, be aware of the thoughts. So when they're doing nothing, the thoughts, nothing, idle. But when they suddenly have to do a mitzvah, their thoughts, other thoughts coming to the head. That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the power of the Yetzer Hara. Anyway, so people are different from each other. So too our thoughts are very different from each other. So you may have 20 people in the room, each one's thinking different thoughts all the time. We all have our different thoughts, we all have different issues, and we think different things. But the problem is, how do we control our thoughts? So that's the major question. It's a very important question, a very hard thing to do. Control one's thoughts. And the person who can control their thoughts can get to the levels of prophecy, because that's what the prophet has to do. The prophet has to work on meditation, which is controlling one's thoughts. So our thoughts differ from each other, and we have to apply our free will, which was yesterday's topic. We have to apply our free will to controlling our thoughts. So a person's got to say, listen, I'm in control. I am in control of my thoughts, and I've got to choose which thoughts I will think, and I will choose which thoughts I won't think about. So there are certain thoughts which are totally destructive, and these are the worst kind of thoughts, and we see this in the Torah in the story of Korach. Who was Korach? Korach was the guy who was jealous of Moshe and Aaron, and his jealousy destroyed him, in a sense. It destroyed him. So there's certain thoughts which are totally destructive. What are these thoughts? 3 things the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot: jealousy, desire, and ego. Jealousy, desire, and ego. Those are 3 thoughts which destroy a person. So she says we have to uproot all destructive thoughts. Those that contain jealousy, hatred, miserliness, depression, and despair. That's very important, because depression, despair can lead a person very quickly down the path to great evil. Now we see this with Cain. Story of Cain and Hevel. Cain, it says, Hashem asked Cain, he says, Lama naflu panecha? Why did your face fall? Why are you depressed? So we find that depression caused him to kill his brother. People do certain things. And the Rav Chaim Shmulevitch says that that's why the Jews worship the golden calf. They were depressed. Moshe Rabbeinu was gone. Depression led them to all sorts of things. Depression leads us into certain things. So it's very important to a Jew should never be in despair. Why? Because we have to realize we're linked to the most powerful being in the world. We're linked to Hashem. Person linked to Hashem, why should they despair? And that's something which we have to work on. Person's got to work on the emunah. Person's got to work on the link to Hashem. So we all have tests in life. Don't think that there's no person in this world with no tests. Everyone has tests in life. You see a person who looks great. He's happy, he's smiling, but you know what's going on in the person's mind. No one knows. No one knows what's going on. We have to find that source of strength. Every person has to find their source of strength, and the source of strength is Hashem. No question about it. The source of Hashem. If you see read the book of Tehillim, you find David HaMelech. Every single problem he has, what does he do? He turns to God. There's no other choice. There's nowhere else to turn. The person has nowhere to turn. We can turn to our relatives, we can turn to our friends, but how many times can we burden our friends and relatives? How many times? People get sick of hearing the same story over and over again. The only one who does not get sick of hearing the story is Hashem. Hashem we can turn to 20 millions of times, and Hashem bears all the burdens. Hashem is greater. Hashem has tremendous, infinite patience. So that's something we have to realize. We have to uproot all these bad thoughts. We have to uproot these thoughts. It's very hard. Very hard to uproot one's thoughts. The best technique is, as the Vilna Gaon says, fill the mind with good, and it won't get a chance to think bad. A person's got to fill their mind with thoughts of Torah, thoughts of holiness, and this way it uproots everything. Just because the mind there's no vacuum in the head. So whenever there's no holiness, there's always unholiness. It's automatic. It goes without saying. When there's no good thoughts in the head, there's automatically bad thoughts. So that's very important. We have to uproot all these destructive thoughts, those that contain jealousy, hatred, miserliness, depression, despair. To achieve this, we must remove from our minds those hurtful memories that cause us to think negatively. What causes people to think? There's usually some memories they have at the back of their minds which cause them to think negatively. And we have to avoid situations that trigger negative thoughts. This is, I suppose, we're going to think about what caused these thoughts to happen. What triggered these thoughts? So sometimes there's things that happen around us that triggers more negativity. Sometimes it's people who are negative and trigger negative thoughts in the other people. It's very important to be around positive people, not around negative people. So we must try to avoid situations that precipitate negative thinking. Focus on constructive states of mind. Because always got to think positive, constructive. What can I do now? Okay, this has happened, this has happened. Nobody's crying over spilt milk. How do I move on? How do we move on with our lives? How do we find the good in the bad? Because there's nothing which is totally bad in the world. Even the bad has good in it. And that's something which you have to find. Gam zu latova, even in the bad is good. There's good even in the bad. What is the bad? Where's the good in the bad? That's something we have to search for. We have to look for in our lives. What is the good and the bad? What good things can come out of this? The person lost their job. And what good things? It's God's way of saying, I've got to redirect you. I'm going to redirect you into a different life. So we have to look for the redirection. We have to look for what else can I do? What else? What is Hashem trying to tell me? What is Hashem trying to teach me? So there's something positive which comes out of everything. You just have to look for the positive. And that was Nachum Ish Gamzu. Nachum Ish Gamzu didn't worry a thing. Didn't blink an eyelid. It says he was bringing jewels to the Emperor of Rome, and at the middle of the night, the innkeeper switches the jewels and gives him dust. He didn't blink an eyelid. Okay, so I'll take the dust. Man, take the dust. If Hashem allowed this to happen, it must be good. He takes the dust to the emperor and they put him in jail. The emperor thinks he's a lunatic. And then someone comes, the Gemara says, maybe it was Eliyahu Navi, came and said, put his thought into the king, into the emperor's head. This dust, this Jew can't be a fool. The Jews are not idiots. Why would they send you dust? It must be magic dust. Throw it at your enemies when you're fighting. So he tries it out. He's fighting the Germans, the Germans. And he takes the dust and he says, go take the dust with you and throw it at them. And yes, the dust worked. Somehow it panicked the road. Germans, they ran away. Yeah, Germans, the Huns in those days. So they panicked them, they ran away, and he comes back and he says, gives the rabbi jewels. Imagine. The rabbi gave him dust, and he gives the rabbis jewels. Think about that. That's amazing. That's the power of faith of Nachum Ish Gamzu. So what happened is, he goes back, he stays in the same inn, doesn't even change his hotel. If I was me, I wouldn't go there again. Doesn't care, listen, everything's in the hands of God, he doesn't care. Goes back to the same inn, tells the innkeeper, wow, that dust you gave me, wow, it's amazing dust. The innkeeper says, okay, now thank you, I'm going to take wagons loads of dust. Takes it to the emperor. Here, emperor, that magic dust came from my yard. Here, emperor. Emperor says, okay, put him in jail till I try it. Tries it, doesn't work. Get rid of them, those two. So it's amazing how the Emunah, we have to find good in the bad. That's what we have to do. Find the good in the bad. Or if we can't reach that level, reach the level of Rabbi Akiva. Go to Rabbi Akiva's level. Kol ma David Rachmana letav avid. Hashem will make the bad, good will come out of it. So right now the bad is not good. Kol ma David Rachmana letav avid. It will be good. It will be good. Something good will come out of it. So the story is he was walking on the way and he had his rooster, his lamp, and his donkey. And we know the story, but basically what happened was he lost his rooster, he lost his lamp, he lost his donkey, and he's saying whatever Hashem does, it will be good. And what happens is, he knows the next morning he wakes up and he sees the robbers and bandits had come and ransacked the town next door. He said, listen, if they'd have seen my lamp, they'd have got me. They'd have heard my rooster, they would have got me. If they heard my donkey, they got me. So whatever God did for the good. So we have to look for the good. Trouble is we focus on the bad sometimes and then just think negatively all the time. We have to look at the good in our lives. What good thing can possibly come out of this? We have to look for the good. And Hashem has a way of diverting us and moving us. Look at the Jewish life. Look at Jewish history. The pogroms in Russia, they came here. That saved them from the Second World War. So we have to look at something. There's something going on in history we don't know. We have to look for the good. What is Hashem trying to teach us? So there's trouble somewhere. There's something Hashem is trying to teach us. So we have to try and avoid situations that precipitate negative thinking. It's very important. Try and focus on constructive states of mind. I'm talking to myself, which will bring us joy, health, and success. We have to try and focus on constructive states of mind. Sometimes a person is really in a negative mood. It's very hard. We have to break away from that. We have to get away from that. And with all the tefillah and everything, this person's still in a negative mood. We have to break away from it. The person's going to start reading books, happy books, cheerful books, things which will bring a person to a higher state of mind, a positive state of mind. I was just looking, there was where did I see this? In a school. I think it was in a school. And I saw an amazing flyer they printed. I don't remember which school it was. I just saw it last week. Where was I last week? I don't know. So anyways, it says over here, if you think you're a failure, you're in good company. Abraham Lincoln, Harry Truman, Roosevelt, they're all failures. They all tried their hands, failed. And they became presidents of the United States. I don't know, that's good or bad. Maybe that's also a failure, I don't know. But we think it's a success. He's the president of the United States. So look, failure. They succeeded in something else. Hashem is redirecting them. So he tried to open a store. I can't remember, Roosevelt, I think, opened a store for 2 years and made a tremendous loss. Okay, so he's not good at that. Maybe become a politician. Oh, it's Truman. Thank you. So everyone, they all...
That negative thoughts, I find if I watch news or open the paper that the UN did this and Iran says Israel's a cancer, all these negative things, that gets me so... I mean, the things that, gets me into such a tizzy, I say, I can't...
You're right, so keep away from it. Keep away from it.
You got to keep away, because I feel that's very negative.
You know what Hashem does? David HaMelech says, he says, when the nations are talking, he says, Yoshev b'shamayim yitzchak. The one who sits in heaven is laughing. Let's see what happens to these guys. Hashem is laughing. Why are we worried? Hashem is laughing. The more they say, the better for us. Because whatever they want to do to us, they're going to get back 10 times over. How do we know this? Because Hashem told Abraham Avinu, he promised him, whoever blesses you will be blessed. Whoever curses you will be cursed. People don't realize that. Whoever curses the Jewish people, they're going to get destroyed. Have you ever seen the Allied bombing of Germany? Did you see the pictures of Allied bombing? Dresden, other places, just smashed totally. They're devastated. People don't realize they devastated Germany more than anything else. They devastated the cities. They smashed everything. The Allies, the British and the Americans, they just devastated. They smashed the whole of Germany. And Hitler had to die in his bunker. He killed himself. I mean, listen, this is what happens to enemies. You have to realize. These guys don't know what they're doing. They're messing around with fire. And all these companies, they're playing with a country who has at least 200 million nuclear weapons. We don't realize that. We don't realize who they're playing with. They're playing with fire. And Israel doesn't talk about it, but we can talk about it. There's at least 200 atom bombs. They definitely have at least 200. If you look at Jane's military magazine, talk about Israel has a bigger air force than France and England combined. People don't realize. So thank you, Baruch Hashem. Listen, we're living in great times. You don't realize that we have the power to do things. Hashem empowered us. But again, a person shouldn't get full of their power. That's it. So we have to listen. So let him talk. Better if he talks. The more he talks, the better. It's a disaster for himself. He doesn't realize he's opening his mouth for himself. Okay. But anyway, if Hashem is laughing, why won't I laugh? Look how many enemies try to kill us over the ages. And where are they? Mark Twain wrote an article. He said, listen, the Romans came and the Romans went. The Greeks came and the Greeks went. The Babylonians came. The Jews are still here. So what difference does it make? Listen, we've been through Iran before. We've been through Hashverosh and Hama. We've been through this again. So every generation says, we say Nagada. In every generation, nothing's new. We've been through this again, over and over again. So the question is enough. We say, Hashem, it's enough. Give us Mashiach already. We can't take any more. It's enough. We've been through this. So in my generation, I've seen how many of them? We saw Nasser, he said, I'm going to throw the Jews in the sea. What happens there? Gone. Who's next? Who's after Nasser? I can't remember. Then you had Sadat, he's gone. Then you had, the other guy, Mubarak, he's gone. That guy, okay. So one after the other. Ahmadinejad also, he'll be gone soon. Okay. What about Saddam Hussein? Who would believe it? Who would believe it? He attacked Israel, 39 rockets he sent, 39 missiles. And one Jew died. And he's gone. I mean, see the way he went. Gaddafi, look at the way he went. It's amazing. So, listen. He'll probably be killed by his own people. That's probably the best thing. There'll be some revolt in Iran. Listen, Iran is suffering right now. The people are suffering. They don't have food. They have the gas has cost a fortune. So there's going to be a riot, hopefully, and there'll be a revolution over there. They'll throw him out. I hope. So listen, Hashem has many messages. A person should never worry. It says, we talked about this in Chovat Levavot, right? Trust in God. So it brings a beautiful story. Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi is running away from the king and queen of Israel, Ahav and Isabel. They want to kill him. The queen wants to kill him. So he gets so depressed and he goes to the Negev and he's dying of hunger over there. What does Hashem do? He sends ravens to pick up food, glut kosher, from the king of Judah's table. Can you imagine? King of Judah sitting down to his beautiful feast. The ravens come in, they pluck food from his table, and they go fly to Eliyahu Navi and they drop it for him. So we learn over there, Harbe Shluchim Lemakom. Hashem has many messages. We don't know where the message is going to come from. Hashem will save a person. We don't know where. A person can just look out for the messenger. A person can look out for where. So it's interesting. So a person should never give up hope. We live in hope. We live in Hatikva. We live in hope. We're Jewish. We believe in Hashem. Hashem Shomer Israel. Hinei lo yanum velo yishan Shomer Israel. The person always got to think. He doesn't slumber and doesn't sleep. What do you mean he doesn't slumber, doesn't sleep? Obviously he doesn't slumber, he doesn't sleep. What's going on over here? So the commentaries say he doesn't slumber, he doesn't let people sleep. He doesn't let people who trouble us sleep. They can't sleep at night. All they think about is hatred. Imagine, all that's motivating them is hatred. Who's got more problems? The guy with hatred in his heart or the guy who's got a clear conscience? The guy with hatred in his heart can't sleep. I hate the Jews, I hate the Jews. I want to get rid of them. They're cancer, I hate them. Good for you. Live on your hate. See where it gets you. It'll get you to where all the other people went. Same place. So we have to believe we have the highest power behind us, Baruch Hashem. Thank God we're not powerless anymore. Thank God we're not powerless as well. Thank God a million times. So we have to remove all these negativities. Thank God. Hashem. A person's got to count their blessings. And that's so hard to do. We have to count our blessings every single day, whatever we have. We have to count our blessings. So try to look at the positive. So a person could look at the cup and say it's half empty. A person could look at the cup and say it's half full. So we have to be on the side of the ones who are positive. Optimism. Live our life with optimism. That's one of the 3 questions when a person dies. They ask them straight away. Kavata etim leTorah. Do you fix times to learn Torah? Why is it so important to fix times for Torah?
Get all the bad thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Fill your head with good thoughts. Fix times to learn Torah study. A person's got to fix times to Torah study. This way, you say, wow, I learned a page of Talmud today, and you know what it says in the Talmud? Wow, this amazing thoughts. I was just learning. It talks about, do the dead know what's going on in this world? What a great, this is a great thought to have in your head. What a great thing to think about. Do the dead know what's going on in this world? Who cares? But it fills your head with good things. At least you have something to worry about. Not worried about daily things. Do the dead know what's going on in this world? So interesting, come on out of that. So that's a good question. It's 1 page. It's 1.5 pages. So the Gemara doesn't really decide, but it brings you beautiful stories about dead people who knew what was going on and living people who communicated and found out what's going on in this world. So anyway, so we do find that, so it's fascinating questions which can divert the mind from their negativity. But it's got to divert the mind from negativity. How? Kavat etim leTorah. Right, so it's very important to fix times for Torah study. That's one of the first questions. Were you honest in business? Okay. Because that also shows emunah. And did you hope for the Mashiach? Which means you live your life with optimism. Mashiach's coming, it's going to get better. So we have to be optimistic. We have to try and remove all these thoughts of negativity. It's so hard to remove thoughts of negativity, but we can. How can we? Fill our minds with good. That's the answer. The answer is get a good book, read a good book, try and find something where it appeals to you, and it fills your head with something positive. That's very important. So everything begins with a thought. You go to someone's house, he gives you a glass of water. You say, what a cheapskate. Can you give me a Coke? Give me a soda. Give me water. By the way, in America, it's interesting. We always think, what is the best thing? Drink. It took a while to get around to that. But you go to other countries, they don't serve you water. They serve you, water's like too cheap. They give you soda. You go to Israel. Soda is like the big thing now. Soda, juice, whatever it is. But they don't give you water. Water's like too cheap. So you go to someone's house, he gives you water. You say, what a cheapskate. Can't he serve something better than water? That's a negative thought. A person's going to try and change that thought. A person's going to think different thoughts. How considerate that person is to bring me water. So a person can think 2 different ways. And these thoughts are very important. It's interesting. The older a person is, the more the way to serving God is through the head. When a person is younger, they can do more. When a person gets old, they can't do as much. So how do they serve God? Serve God with our voice, and we serve God with our heads. interesting. The service of God is transformed in a sense. Young people, their heads are not really into anything. They're all garbage. But they can do a lot. They're very powerful. They're strong and they're healthy. But as a person develops, the person gets older, the person has to try and remove that and into transform the actions into thoughts. The person's got to have good thoughts all the time. And you see people, I was talking about last week, how we have people in the shul who are in the 90s, and you see they're positive thinkers. They're happy people. And that really what keeps them young. That keeps them young. So, the person's got to think, how considerate the person is to bring me water when I'm thirsty. So we can modify our thoughts. We have to modify our thoughts, making the negative thoughts into positive thoughts. We have to try our best. And Hashem rewards us in kind. The reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah. What's the reward for an avirah? An avirah. So the person says, I'm going to try and change this negative thought into a positive thought. Hashem says, I'm going to give you many more positive thoughts. I'm going to help you to have more positive thoughts because you tried to change that. So it's a test in a sense. It's a test that no one will know. No one can see. Only it's between me and Hashem. What's going on in my mind is between me and Hashem. It's a test from Hashem. Hashem says, I'm going to judge you on your thoughts today. What thoughts? That's why it's so important to judge other people favorably, especially before Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because Hashem says, the way you judge others, that's the way I'm going to judge you. Very simple. If you're very happy-go-lucky and you always give the other person the benefit of the doubt, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt as well. But if you're very, very judgmental, I can also be very judgmental, Hashem says. We have to be also like that. We have to be non-judgmental. It's very hard. It's very hard. We have to be positive thinkers. We have to be give people the benefit of the doubt, judge people favorably. And that's what the rabbis tell us. Hashem considers a positive thought to be the same category as a good deed. The person can't do a good deed. He says, I wish I could do this deed. Hashem says, no problem. I made it as if you did it. Imagine a person says, I'm sick, I can't go to shul today, but I wish I could have gone to shul. Hashem says, okay, it's as if you went to shul. He says, I'm sick, I can't go to visit someone in the hospital. I really want to go to visit. It's okay. It's the way you already did it. You did it in a thought. That's why thoughts are very powerful. That's why we're not big into pulling plugs. Jews are not big into pulling plugs. Someone's sick in the hospital bed. Who knows what thoughts are going into their head? The guy, you see, if you read it, Nefesh HaChaim, Rav Chaim Volozhin, says we build worlds with our thoughts, and we can destroy worlds with our thoughts. So thoughts are very critical. Thoughts can even transcend time and space, because thoughts are linked to our souls. Where do the thoughts come from? Their highest level. We said deeds are the nefesh, speech is the ruach, and thoughts are the neshama, the highest level. So thoughts can even transcend time and space. It's not at all uncommon for two people to be thinking identical thoughts. Sometimes you're thinking, I want to call this guy, and this guy calls you. It happens in families quite often. So occasionally when we call someone on the phone, he or she will reply, I knew it was you. Well, today you have caller ID, so it's much easier to know who it is. I say, how do you know? I knew it was you. Okay. It's caller ID already. When you think about someone and suddenly bump into that person on the street, what a coincidence. I think about this guy. Sometimes we're about to ask our spouse a question. Before we manage to verbalize it, our spouse answers it. Halavai, get to that level. But it shows the power of the mind. A person has power of the mind. And two good minds think alike. Some minds, good people, they think alike. They see people in need. What can we do to help them? Two people, same minds. What can we do to help someone? Rabbi Yosef Karo. Okay, let's go. This is a beautiful example. Rabbi Yosef Karo, two great rabbis. There's two great rabbis. I'm not going to. It doesn't bring down the book. It does. Okay, I'll get to that. Okay, so Rabbi Yosef Karo is in the process of writing his monumental work, the Shulchan Aruch. He often fasted in effort to gain Hashem's favor, to resolve unresolved questions. So he had questions in his head, halachic questions, and he didn't know the answer to the halachic questions, so he'd fast. Hashem, please give me the answer to this question. After a day of fasting, an angel would visit him at night and answer his questions. On one occasion, after he had fasted an entire day, and he got the answer to his question, he went to the house of learning, the Beit Midrash, and he found the students were engaged in that same question. And one student, without any effort, gave the answer, which he took him a whole day of fasting to get the answer to. So he's very depressed. It took me a whole day of fasting to get that answer. And here in the Beit Midrash, they're discussing it, and in no time they get the answer. So that night, the angel came to him and said, it's because the answer was revealed to you, it was revealed to others as well. Because you're the first person to get that information. Once it is revealed already, it's revealed to other people as well. So it was easier for them to get the answer because you already got the answer. So a person shouldn't think, my thoughts, what are my efforts? Our efforts could be the key to also resolving other people's efforts as well. So the power of thought is so great. Someone else, whom he had never met, could consequently speak knowledge that no one else had known previously, that was in the mind of one person. So since he got the information in his head, other people also got the information as well. In another incident, two great rabbis. This is humility. If we want to learn humility, we have to learn humility from these two rabbis. Rabbi Yosef Karo and Rav Moshe Isserles. Moshe Isserles was the Ashkenazi writing the Ramah. Rav Moshe Isserles from Krakow in Poland. He was born to a very wealthy family, and his father built him his own Beit Midrash. Imagine, in his own backyard he had his own Beit Midrash, all the books and everything. Just studied all day. He was a very wealthy family, Rav Moshe Isserles. Rav Yosef Karo in Sfat, he's writing his Shulchan Aruch. Rav Moshe Isserles is writing his Shulchan Aruch. So what happened? Rav Yosef Karo sends his writings by courier from Eretz Israel to Rav Moshe Isserles, the Ramah. By the way, they corresponded. There were tremendous respect between them. Amazing. The great Ashkenazi Rav Posek, the great Sephardi Posek. Tremendous respect. When Rav Moshe Isserles examined Rabbi Yosef Karo's writings, he realized he was in the process of writing a work of himself on the same thing. So he put his manuscript in the Geniza. Look at this humility. He said, I'm going to write a gloss on his writing. Instead of writing the same thing, it's not going to be the same thing exactly, but it's similar. I'm going to write a gloss on his manuscript. That was his humility. That's why today, Sephardim and Ashkenazi, we have the same Shulchan Aruch. Because of the humility of these two greats, we have the same book. We want to look up Halakha, it's the same book, Shulchan Aruch. So two great rabbis living in different countries, each independently wrote nearly identical Sfarim. So until Rabbi Yosef Karo's writing, can you imagine, Rabbi Moshe Isserles nearly finished his book. He sees Rabbi Yosef Karo's book, he says, I don't need to repeat this. I'm going to put my book in the Geniza. Imagine. I'll just write a gloss on his book, where we differ. Where we disagree, I'm going to write a gloss. Amazing. We encounter such occurrences in my own lives as well. I'll tell you the story happened to me. It's a true story. When I first moved here, my mother came to visit me. So she's sitting in my dining room. She said, what's the time? She said, you need to get a clock. You need a clock for this room. Every time I've got to ask someone what the time is. You need a clock. That Sunday we came here, and someone gave me a clock. So these things happen, Sometimes the mind is very powerful. We may decide to purchase a new piece of furniture, a new garment. Happened to me also. I was looking for a set of books. Kaf HaChaim. I always wanted Kaf HaChaim. I gotta buy Kaf HaChaim. From the most unlikely source. This guy's not religious. He said, my uncle passed away in France. Think of the story. His uncle passed away in France. I just came back from France. He left me a whole bunch of money. He also left me these books. Rabbi, take these books. Exactly the same set of books I was thinking of getting. Pelepelai. He's a Pelepelai. Hashem helps the person. But Abali Taher B'Sayin, a person wants to do good. Hashem sends vehicles, sends messages. The most unlikely sources. Amazing. So amazing, huh? How did I get that book? I don't know. Out of the blue, from France, of all places. I mean, the guy passed away in France and I get the book. So it's amazing. Really amazing. And that's what she's saying. We encounter such occurrences in our lives as well. For example, we may decide to purchase a new piece of furniture or a new garment. Suddenly someone appears before us, bringing us as a gift the very item we were thinking of buying. Our thoughts can create reality. If we go out on a cold evening without a coat and we think, I'm going to be cold, that's what happens. In some cases, we rely on previous experiences. But that sort of mindset teaches us to think negatively. So, for example, our 10-year-old daughter is rushing around the house in the morning and before school, muttering, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. That's what happens. She will be late. Similarly, if a person is studying for an exam and he says, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, well, I'm going to fail. So our thoughts can cause us to do certain things. Our thoughts can influence reality. A person's got to think like a winner. How Winston Churchill saved England was just by his talks, motivation. the way he spoke, can you imagine influencing a whole country the way the Prime Minister speaks or the President speaks. In the times of trouble where they were ready to give up. No other country could stand within the might of the German Luftwaffe or the German Blitzkrieg, whatever. And he gave them this capability just mentally, preparing themselves and saying, they're going to wring our necks like chickens, some neck. They're just small things like that. It'll influence them in the war. Kept them going. Kept the morale high. It's all morale. That's going to keep the morale high. So we have to keep our own morale high. The person who thinks, I'm going to lose, I'm useless. Okay, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we have to think like winners. There's a beautiful line in this last week's parasha, which Rashi pounces on. This Rashi is beautiful, Rashi. And Rashi doesn't leave much to, he pounces on these jewels, the gems over there. Hashem says, if you lose a relative, he says, don't go crazy. If a person loses a relative, don't go crazy. Lo tikruhu kochab. Don't rip your hair out. Lo tigoredu, don't rip your flesh. Ki banim atem Hashem Elokechem. You are the sons of God. You are the children of God. Imagine. We are the children of God. A person's got to say to himself over and over again, we are the children of God. I am the child of God. I'm God's son. I'm God's daughter. We are the children of God. So Rashi says over there a very interesting thing. He says, we are the children of God. We have to look good. We're the princes and princesses. We have to look good. If a Jew walks around with scars because he ripped his flesh, it's not going to look good. It's going to look good in us, it's not going to look good in God. We have to remember we are the children of Hashem. So we are supposed to apply that to daily lives. I am the child of God. Hashem will not let me down. Hashem will not let me down. Obviously, I'm going to do my hishtadlut. I'm going to try my best. But Hashem will not let us down. We have to keep on thinking about that. Okay.
Rabbi,
Yes.
way in the beginning, you talked about our obligations when we get to the Olam Haba. You talked initially a lot about how L'choyim we are, every man and woman, whatever age, to at least try to help make Hashem.
Yes. I was reading an article. We have the OU magazine outside. So they asked someone about, what are your thoughts, Rebbetzin, what's your thoughts about Elul? So she said the three questions that a person's asked when a person passed away. One of the questions they asked, different opinions, is Imasakta b'piri v'rivya. Were you involved in Pruvu, which is having children? Do you try to do your mitzvah of having children? So she says, don't take that literally, but also, were you involved in trying to make a shidduch? So we try. I'm useless at it. I'm telling you, my statistics right now are just zero. I mean, I haven't made a single shidduch, and I'm not very good at it. What can I do? So some people are good at it. Some people have a knack for it. A person's got to know what their strengths are. Yeah, right. So a person's got to know what their strengths are. A person's got to know what their weaknesses are. You can try, But unless you know how to do these things, it's better to keep away. A person's got to try and learn techniques. So we can try. You can invite people to your table and this and that. But try whatever it is. But a person's got to know that if they're not, they have to know how to do this. It's an art. It's a chokhmah. It's like visiting someone in a hospital. Not everyone can go visit people in a hospital. It's a chokhmah. A person's got to learn, and the person's got to know, am I good at this? Am I not good at this? It's an art. We have to learn how to do these things. So yes, there are techniques. I'm sure we can learn the techniques, and maybe we should have a class from an expert, how to make shidduchs. Maybe we should get someone to talk about that, how to make shidduchim. It's a good idea. So who's the expert in the world on making shidduchim? So maybe someone can give us a talk, and...
my nephew does a Sephardic vineyard at
yes, Teaneck, yeah.
In Avasor in Inglewood is Mordechai Gershon. Him and his wife Stephanie, who's my niece, sick. After they got married, they sent up 6 of her friends and 6 of his.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Fantastic.
So it's unbelievable.
There you go. So that's someone who's good at it. That's it. Maybe you come and speak.
You know, Rabbi Pesach Krohn has in the tape an account of a 9-year-old girl
Yes.
who made a shidduch
Yes.
for her cousin.
It's true.
So sometimes it just is a BB. It's just
Yes, you're right. 100%. 100%.
But the point
But you can try. I mean, I tried. It's not like I didn't try. I tried. I just haven't done a single one.
yes.
Yes. So gotta keep trying. So anyway, person's gotta know what they're good at and what they're weak at, and sometimes it's better to. But you can, it's an art. It's an art. Trying to find people who match each other, and you can try and match people together who are not suitable, but you got to think who is suitable for this person. who is not suitable for this person, but to know, judge character, who's suitable, what's not suitable. That's very important. Before you even introduce people, you can't just throw two people together. Say, I got a cousin here, why don't you marry my cousin? Sometimes it works, maybe 1 in a million. But a person's got to know, if they're suitable, not suitable. So a friend of mine who did my shidduch, he did my son's shidduch. And he's good at shidduchim, this guy. And he's good. Why is he good? Because he knows who is suitable and not suitable. Are the family suitable? Is the person suitable? Will they make a good couple together? He's a very good judge of character. So that's someone who's a good shadchan. A good shadchan means he knows, not just trial and error. People are sick of going out on dates. So, okay, I'll try another one. A lot of shadchanim, what they do is just, I got a whole bunch of boys here, a whole bunch of girls here, so I'll give this boy another girl, and he's going out with this girl, the other girl, it costs him $100 a time, and he gets sick of it. Burnt out. It's not suitable. So why introduce someone? That's not a favor. You're not doing someone a favor. You're doing someone this favor, because you're burning them out. So that's sometimes that's shadchanim or not. There's many shadchanim, but how many are good shadchanim? That's the problem. First you have to get someone who's suitable before you introduce. That's the problem. You're right. I can tell you. You're right.
Depressing me.
It is depressing. It's very depressing. We have to think positive. You know what? I just gave up. I saw a few girls. I gave up. So, the day I gave up, that's when Hashem sent me someone. That's it. The person could just say, listen, Hashem, I've tried. I did my hishtadlut. I'm giving it in your hands. It's in your hands. In your hands. And that's it. I was at the edge of my thing. That's it. Goodbye. So a person, that's Hashem. Once you put it in Hashem's hands, Hashem says, okay, you tried. That's what a person's going to say to Hashem. Hashem, I tried. Now it's in your hands. I tried my best. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. Okay, let's move on. Let's think more positive thoughts, okay? And so here's the story. Mrs. Laish, this is a true story. One evening, as I readied myself to attend a class, the first thing that came to mind was, I don't have the strength to go out now. I'm tired. I just want to stay home. I can't. I'm weak. I'm tired. The result was almost immediate. She felt more tired. At that moment, I began to feel extremely exhausted. Did not have the strength to move. It made me think about how I seem to continue to repeat negative statements. The thought that I had was that sapped my last ounce of remaining strength. So as the thoughts can make a person really, I'm tired. I'm tired. Okay? Sometimes the person's tired, the body's trying to tell them they're tired, go to sleep. On the other hand, the person just sometimes is tired mentally, not physically. So the person's got to know what's the truth, what's not true. The thoughts that come into our head, are they the real truth? Or is just my psyche is playing tricks on me, or whatever. Okay. So positive thinking. It's an essential tool. A person's got to know we have a toolbox. A person's got to think they have a toolbox. So there's a talk I give to parents about the parenting toolbox. What's in our toolbox as parents? What's in our toolbox as people? And the most powerful thing in our toolbox is positive thinking. The positive thinking, which is linked to emunah. It's not just positive thinking with no basis. It's anchored in our emunah. A person has positive thoughts based on their emunah, which is Hashem is behind me. I'm a child of Hashem. Hashem looks after me. Hashem loves me, and Hashem's going to help me. That's a positive thought based on emunah. So, positive thoughts have an effect on us and provide us with positive energy. So now let's give some examples. She gives examples, page 63. Consider a day when things are just not going well. Imagine a disorganized house, piles of laundry, clothes to iron, endless housework. Person becomes to feel heavy and tired. Does this ring a bell to anyone? Okay. Person says, I'm going to go to sleep early. I'll be able to rise early the next morning with renewed vigor to deal with the house. However, at the point of exhaustion, the phone rings. Someone invites us for an interesting get-together with refreshments. So the person says, this is good. And all of a sudden they feel full of energy. So where that sudden burst of energy come from? How is it possible that a person who was burnt out a minute ago, he gets this phone call and all of a sudden they're full of energy again? So he says, when we think about the enjoyments we are going to experience, our brain secretes certain chemicals and other hormones, which gives us the energy we need to carry out the pleasurable endeavor. So just a minute ago, the person was exhausted. When they heard they have something good to do, all of a sudden they get bounds of energy. That's why many people seem to be filled with energy during vacations. See, the same guy, he's not on vacation, going to work. Oh, I gotta go work now. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm going to work. Well, all of a sudden, the same guy on vacation is full of energy. What happened? And the answer is the positive thoughts, the positive ideas. I'm going to enjoy myself. It gives a person hormones and chemicals that they never had before. So therefore, they're able to stay up later at night. And they need, sometimes they have to do things which require strength, and all of a sudden they have the strength to do it. Something which does not occur normally during their normal work time. So thought is like something which can push a person. Positive thoughts, a person likes to do something. That's why it's very important to find a job where a person likes to do it. A person is motivated to do it. A person feels like, I want to get up in the morning, I want to go and do this. It's very important to find jobs like that where a person loves to do these things. So, for example, I don't feel like I have a job. I don't tell anyone that. Say, Rabbi, you work hard. I don't work. I won't work. Most people think that rabbis don't work anyway, so what difference does it make? I don't work. But it's fun. It's fun. I mean, obviously, there are tough times. I don't like doing funerals. It's a tough time, but it's a mitzvah. What can I do? So it's a mitzvah. A person gets more reward when they do something they don't like doing. So they do a mitzvah. Okay, do. Who likes doing funerals? We had a rabbi before here who used to say, he said, I only do 3 things. Hatch, match, and dispatch. So that's the only time I see people. Hatch, match, and dispatch. But anyway, so thank God I see more people. But, alright. So thought is like a germ that multiplies. Our thoughts multiply. A person starts with a small thought, all of a sudden you see, it fills up the whole brain. So that's why even a small negative thought can multiply. We can't even let that thought germinate in our heads. We cannot let that thought take root in our heads. And sometimes that thought creates the reality. So thinking negative thoughts about other people can create that reality. That person doesn't like me. I don't think that person likes me. I don't think that person likes me. The person doesn't like him. The person thinks, that person likes me. That person likes me. You like him. It creates reality. It's very important. Okay, we're going to move on to a more practical question, which is a bedwetting. My 5-year-old daughter suffered from chronic bedwetting. I tried all sorts of treatments. Nothing helped. Every night when I went to sleep, the thoughts that accompanied me at bedtime was, here comes another unpleasant morning with wet sheets. My daughter was depressed. We were at wit's end. While participating in a positive thinking workshop, I came to realize the extent to which negative words and thoughts can prevent a thorny situation from improving. From that moment, whenever negative thoughts about my daughter's situation entered my mind, I immediately seized control of myself. With Hashem's help, managed to repeat to myself that my daughter would wake up dry in the morning. Well, the astounding thing actually happened. Within 3 days, my daughter was totally cured of her bedwetting problem. So sometimes it's feeding off other people's energies. So the daughter obviously was feeding off her mother's energies. Her mother's, yeah, she can't do it. She bedwets. I can't help it. She can't help herself. What can I do? I'm at wit's end. So the daughter's hearing all this. Thought also gave up. The person has to have positive thoughts, positive speech. But we need the ability and the means to control our thoughts. We have to learn how to rule over our thoughts. To know what we ought to be thinking about, to know what kind of thoughts we must uproot from our minds, allowing the positive thoughts to flow naturally and multiply in our minds. The helpful thoughts we cultivate within ourselves will create a new reality for us, will improve our lives immensely. A person's going to think of themselves as winners, even though they're losing. That's hard. A person's losing and they're going to think of themselves as a winner. I'm a winner. The Gemara in Makot says, the way a person wants to go, that's the way they're led. So the question is, what do you mean that's the way they're led? Who's leading them? It says, they lead him. Who's leading him? The Marsha, the great commentary at the back, Idols, Rabbi Idols, he says, with every word, thought, and deed, a person creates an angel. This is very, very tricky over here, very spiritual over here. With every thought, word, and deed. So you have thoughts, words, and deeds. Different levels of angels. Creating angels. A spiritual force that is either good or bad. That is why the Gemara tells us a person is led in the way they want to go. In other words, they created the angel that's going to lead them by their thoughts. So a person's desires and intentions are the forces that lead to the person in the direction they've chosen. So we don't really see these spiritual forces. And a person can, by the teshuva can just wipe out the spiritual forces they created. That's the power of teshuva. You can just erase the slate. That's very important to remember. The teshuva is one of the biggest gifts we ever got. And this is the Elul. We're in Elul now, so that's a good talk. That is, the power of the mind to do teshuva is so powerful. The Gemara says, the Mishnah says, Pirkei Avot, it says, 1 second of teshuva and maasim tovim in this world is worth the whole of the next world. People are going to think to themselves, Hashem, I'm sorry, I'll be trying to do better. That thought is worth the whole of the next world. That's worth eternity. That thought is just so powerful. Just create, I don't know how many angels we created just by thinking that thought. So a person can erase all the negativity in their lives just by thinking these thoughts of teshuvah. So that's very important. So now we're going to talk about practical suggestions for positive thinking. That's the most important class. Next week is the most important class. Make sure you don't miss it. It's practical suggestions for positive thinking. We're going to go through the practical suggestions for positive thinking. And Bezrat Hashem will all think positive thoughts. And Bezrat Hashem will bless us to fulfill whatever we want for good. Only for good.